I'm very lucky to be here today with VeXXSie, the maker of Croft Manor.
Hi.
Hi VeXXSie. Although she looks like 12, we both grew up playing original PlayStation games, including the Tomb Raider series. In your own words, what was so special about Croft Manor? Why was it not just another empty training level? Why did you spend so much time on it?
Well, actually, I was just too scared to play the proper levels, and at that point I'd never seen another game with like an open area where you could just walk around without any danger.
Apart from Winston.
Winston, oh my god.
So what inspired you to make it in Source?
I'd just seen my mates playing 1.6 maps of stuff like Simpsons and Lego, and I thought I could make something more nostalgic than this, and it might actually work out for a deathmatch map.
So how did you even start with it?
The first thing I did was to install Tomb Raider 1, 2 and 3 on my PC, and then it was hard to decide which version of the manor that I would most closely try and remake. So I did a poll with my friends, and it turned out that everybody preferred the second one, but there was bits of each mansion that I thought couldn't be left out, so what I did was I kind of did it mostly off the second one, but merged it with bits of the first and third as well.
Can you give an example of where you tried to merge two different maps into one?
Well, like in the second one, the basement is pretty much just a room with treasure on either side, and in the third one, instead, it's an aquarium, and I thought, rather than having both of them or either one, I kind of merged them. I thought, what would Lara do with all her treasure? And I thought it would be quite good to have the treasure in the aquarium, because that would be like harder for burglars to get it.
But who feeds the fishes?
Winston.
And how does he get down there?
That's for me to know. No, that's a rubbish question.
So how did you go about changes where you thought it was more beneficial for a CSGO map? Can you give some examples?
I didn't start all the doors closed like they are in the original, because I thought that would just be, like the layout's already not that good for a CSGO map. So I opened all the doors up. I still included the buttons, but they do different things. And then the only bit of the map that is really not in any of the originals is there's an extra corridor that leads round to the archive room, because without this there was really no reason for players to go in the basement because it was a dead end.
So how did you design that corridor then, without being unfaithful to the original?
Basically just use the same textures and the same blocky architecture.
Fair enough. So it was always intended to be a playable map in CSGO then?
Yeah.
Have you played it?
No.
So how long did it take for you to make?
That's a bit of an unfair question. I started it in 2012, but like I've hardly worked on it in years just because life got in the way, but all I know is it took me a very long time to do what I've done.
And of it, which bits are you most proud of that people might not notice from the screenshots?
I think the scaling of it and how I achieved that. I basically built the main hall first, and I had to keep rendering it and switching between the original games and CSGO to get a feel for how big Lara is in comparison to a CSGO player. And once I'd felt that the proportions were right, I had to find a measurement that was not too far off the grid in Hammer and just go with that, and it turns out that everything is sort of in like blocks of 96 units.
Compared with Counter-Strike 64?
Yeah.
So how tall is Lara then? 96 units?
A fair bit taller than the CSGO player, so yeah, probably.
She's pretty good at jumping as well. She can get up things 192 units high.
Yeah.
That's quite impressive. For the record, Counter-Strike players can only get up 64, and that's with a crouch jump. So how tall's Alfred?
Winston.
So how tall's Winston?
I don't know.
What have you learned from this project?
I've learnt the importance of learning to use a 3D modelling program, because I tried initially to make all the props out of world geometry and then ended up with the too many faces compile error, so then I switched to proper, and I'm not happy with that, but that's just going to have to do until I learn to model for myself.
But you've managed to make a beautiful heart model using the limitations of Hammer.
I didn't make that, you did.
Oh. But you're getting rid of it, aren't you?
Yeah.
What more is there to do on it?
Stuff now is just like bug fixes and decorative stuff, and obviously getting 3D models, which I've got some people helping me with.
Could Winston be making a return at some point?
It would be possible, but I don't have the modelling and animating skills to do that. I've included him in spirit though, his ghost is in the freezer.
What's the hardest bit for you?
Probably painting the ivy on the outside walls around the mansion, because to get it exactly how it was in the originals, I kept having to switch between the original game, and it was just a pain to do because all the displacements went wrong and I could have really planned it a lot better, but yeah.
But it worked out in the end.
Sort of.
Art-wise, how did you find textures that suited the original map?
I made hundreds of custom textures, which what I was trying to go for was making textures that were acceptable for nowadays standards, but still paid homage to the garishness of the textures in the original.
Excellent. Thank you for attending this simple, dank interview.